Welcome back to Cheddar News, everyone. Last week, the Senate Judiciary Committee debated a proposed bipartisan antitrust bill, which says Facebook, now Meta, Amazon, Google, and Apple have all engaged in, quote, discriminatory behavior, end quote, by promoting their own goods and services over rivals. Well, the committee this week, tomorrow, will discuss a bill aimed at reining in App Store practices that seemingly exert too much market control. Joining me now is Adam Kovacevich, founder, and CEO of the Chamber of Progress, a center-left tech industry coalition backed by several tech giants. Adam, thanks for coming on the show. What is the tech sector's response to these proposals?
Well, I think the Senate is considering some of the, frankly, biggest potential changes we've ever seen to the apps and services that we use every day. And to take a step back, the Senate committee tomorrow is going to be considering two bills that are meant to crack down on sort of the big five tech companies, Apple, Amazon, Meta, Microsoft, and Google. The first bill is aimed at stopping these platforms from preferencing their own products over those of competitors. So it would take aim at services like Amazon Prime, at Google Maps and search results, at the Apple App Store, and would ban the five big tech companies from building integrated services for their users. The second bill would focus on Apple iPhones, and force iPhones to open up to third-party app stores, payment systems, and allow what's called side loading of unauthorized apps onto phones without a security review by Apple. The bottom line, I think if Congress passes either of these bills that are meant to take aim at sort of the big tech services, millions of consumers, I think, could see some negative impacts.
What would be the negative impact for consumers? We've seen tech companies make that case, but how would a consumer witness a change in their daily lives?
Yeah, just to give you a practical breakdown, I think, of how that works. These bills are intended to help smaller companies like Yelp and Spotify and Tile, who've kind of sparred with some of the big tech services over business and product conflicts for the last couple of years. But the problem is, in Congress seeking to help those companies, the bills that they propose, I think, would hurt consumers. So I'll give you an example. The first bill I mentioned prevents big tech services from favoring their own products, which sounds good in principle, but we think based on the way the bill is written, it would stop Amazon from being able to feature its Amazon Basics brand, which is its low-cost generic brand, or be able to offer Amazon Prime 2-day shipping in its current form. And that's a service that's used by 150 million Americans. That's half the country. We think it would probably stop a new iPhone from coming pre-installed with iMessage or FaceTime or the Apple App Store, because again, that would hurt rival apps and app stores. And we think it would stop Google from being able to show a Google map in their search results, because that would hurt MapQuest or Yelp. So I think the problem with all of these rules is that consumers really do love these integrated conveniences, and it makes you kind of wonder, with all the challenges facing the country, why are politicians going after Amazon Prime?
So, Adam, let me ask this. If changes were to come for big tech companies like Amazon, like Apple, as you referenced there, what would be the dollar cost to them? Are there billions of dollars on the line here if these companies, these tech giants, cannot promote their own products and services?
Well, sure. And of course, I think it would be dishonest to acknowledge, to say anything different. But the reality is that these companies have been successful and continue to be successful because they're providing services that consumers love. And more important, I think, than any bottom line impact is the impact that these bills would have on the services that millions of people in the country use, right? And so I do think that Congress, I think, has a little bit of blinders on there. They're currently fixated with this question of kind of affecting small companies. But the reality is that in polling we've done, where we've asked voters, including swing districts and swing states, these issues rank at the bottom of their list, dead last. And to the extent that, you know, when they're asked, like, who do you think these would help? Most voters don't think these proposals would help them, and actually worry just the opposite, that they would hurt them. And that's the kind of sentiment that I think lawmakers tend to worry about in an election year.
Yet we've seen bipartisan support, both on the right and the left, behind these antitrust proposals that have been introduced and will be discussed tomorrow, specifically in the Senate. The fact that there is bipartisan support behind these, and advocates for tighter antitrust laws would say that innovative startups need to get more of a chance. What is your response to that, that some of these big tech giants are basically stifling the competition and not allowing, via their practices, to give some of these younger companies more of a chance?
Well, I think it's just frankly disproven by the facts. Last year was the biggest year we've had on record for new unicorn startups. If there is any way in which the big tech companies are stifling the growth of startups, we have yet to see that in terms of there's just the stunning growth of new companies. And so I do think that there is understandable anxiety about the power of big tech. The question is, what should policymakers do about it? And one of the things that we have found in our voter research in pretty much every kind of state, purple states, red states, blue states, is that the issue that pops up again and again for voters is dealing with privacy and cybersecurity. We desperately need a federal consumer privacy law, and we need a cybersecurity law because there's more and more places getting attacked with ransomware. It's not just big firms, it's city governments, it's schools and small business. So to the extent that voters are clamoring for action on tech, this issue of dealing with the big tech firms really just is not at the top of their list. And it does not seem to have an impact on the success or growth of small startups.
All right, Adam Kovacevich, founder and CEO of the Chamber of Progress, a coalition representing the tech industry. Adam, we appreciate your time. Thanks again for coming on.